Hey guys, welcome back to Honey Money SG, and today I'm a brand new setting indoors instead of outdoors. Alright, so just talking to myself this time on the Singapore property market, and maybe I'll split this episode into two sectors because there's so much to talk about the Singapore property and whether you should invest in it or not. Now, just to be clear on the context, right, we are talking about residential property. So I'm not talking about industrial property, commercial properties, and other kind of properties that you could think of. So there are two ways that you could make money off residential property, and here are those. Number one, capital appreciation. You hope that the future value of this home will rise up so that you can sell for the difference in the profit margin between your cost and the price that you sold it for. And number two, rental income. That means you rent out this vacant unit to your potential tenants so that every month or every year they will pay you consistent cash flows in terms of rent, and then you earn some rental income. Now, why is Singapore property a good way of investment? That's because number one, it's a good store of value. That means the prices don't really fluctuate much like the stock market or cryptocurrency, right? Because every day you see these prices fluctuate up and down, and then your heart goes up and down, and then you cannot sleep at night. But for residential property, you only get like a transaction every few months when a deal is done. The last transaction price will only appear when there is an actual transaction, right? Other than that, you won't see this kind of price of the property in the market or in the exchange somewhere. So to be frank, it's really a good store of value if you have the wealth and the means to actually acquire some properties. And the other reason why it's such a good investment vehicle is because of the use of leverage. Now, for people who don't understand what leverage is, it essentially means borrowing. That means you borrow money from the bank and then you will pay this debt off like over a few years. Up to 30 years, right? That's the maximum loan term. So leverage is essentially using other people's money so that it can help you earn even more money, which you may not have at that point in time. So let me give you an example of leverage. Let's say you are buying a studio condominium at around 1 million Singapore dollars. So you need to pay like 25% down payment if you are taking a private property loan, right? So that's 25%, of which 5% must be in cash. So you need 50k in cash, but you can finance the rest of the 200k in CPF. So essentially you have to come up with 250k yourself, both in cash or CPF, and then the remaining 750k you can loan it from the bank. And let's say when you buy this studio condominium, it's at $1 million Singapore dollars this year, and you could actually flip it for 1.2 million Singapore dollars next year because the property market has boomed so much, right? And let's say next year this property has actually risen in value to $1.2 million. So the profit between your selling price and your cost is 200k Singapore dollars, excluding any buyer's stamp duties, taxes, and any other kind of costs involved in maintaining the property. Let's just keep it simple this time. So let's say the net profit is 200k. You just use like 250k of your own money, 750k of other people's money, and then you just captured a gain of 200k. So you are essentially using 250k to gain 200k of profit. And if we take that into calculation, that's 20 over 25, and that will be 80% gain over a span of 1 year. Okay, so that's just simple mathematics. I'm not including any kind of buyer's stamp duty, any kind of maintenance cost, any kind of taxes yet. So that's why you see property is like a very good store of value and investment vehicle. And if you know, a lot of people actually love to use their CPF to buy things, right? Because there's nothing else the CPF can do in your account if you just leave it there to rot, which I don't agree with, but these people love it, so I'll just let them be. So whatever money they can use for their CPF, they will take it out and go and buy property, hoping that they will hoard till the moon. And this was really prevalent in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, up till the government stepped in and say they need to address this property bubble market. Like rich people are buying up too many homes and making those people who really needs it being unable to afford their first property for own stay. Now, if you watch my videos regarding BTO and property before, HDB actually sets an income limit of $14,000, right? If you have a monthly income above $14,000, you won't be eligible to apply for BTO flat. Then you have to go to the resale market. But you see, the resale market is also very expensive as well because there are a lot of factors driving up the resale market. And regarding the reasons why this resale market is so expensive, I believe a lot of experts have talked about it. I'm definitely not a property expert, but this is based on what I read over the news and internet and maybe forming my own perceptions that you all may also try to understand from. You see, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, right, it has a lot of impact on residents and businesses. Number one, you must understand that Singapore actually has a lot of Malaysians working in Singapore businesses. And a lot of Malaysians actually travel every day across the causeway, right? They live in their Johor Bahru homes and then they commute to Singapore daily during the work hours and then go back to their JB homes at night. So they don't need to rent an apartment or flat or room in Singapore because home prices and rental rates in Johor Bahru is so much more affordable, right? Using the exchange rate purchasing power of 1:3. But when COVID-19 pandemic hit, you realize that these people, they cannot commute daily anymore because of the borders closure, and hence they have to rent a flat in Singapore or rent a room or share a room with others, right? So that was one of the reasons that drove up the rental rates in Singapore. Last time you could easily rent a room for around $500 to $600 in the non-mature estate, but now at least $700 is like the market rate. And if you are going to a mature estate, it's even worse, like $1,000 for a master bedroom. I still haven't talked about the fact that there are so more Singaporeans who also want to buy resale flats, right? Especially young couples who cannot afford the weight of the long BTO construction time. Right, last time we are talking about 3 years, 3 to 4 years, your BTO will be sufficiently built and then you can move in. But now we are talking about construction time between 5 to 6 or even 7 years, right, for the taller projects that need small construction time. You all can take a look at my BTO videos. I already done up my documentation since the start of 2021, so all the information are still there. Go and take a look at how BTO construction times and prices have changed over the period of 1 year. So yeah, you also have local residents who also want like their own flat of their own stay, and that's driving up the resale market because there's so much more demand, right? And then the last factor is work from home. Now you see, we have a lot of people working from home right now because the government wants to control the spread in the community, right? So they don't encourage employees to go back to your workplace unless they need to, and that means more people need to work from home. And when you work from home, it's not just yourself working from home. Your parents, your siblings, your partner all have to work from home. So last time, when we were not working from home, at least the house feels more spacious. But now with the work from home culture, all of us are crammed in the same house day and night. Can you imagine that? I think everyone needs some time and space away from each other so that they can have a better capacity for better critical thinking. Just like me in this new environment, in this very empty KTV room that does not allow you to sing karaoke because of the pandemic. Yeah, so that's just one of the way businesses must adopt to survive because of the work from home crowd. You see people going out to rent rooms because they can no longer live with their parents if they have to work from home. As people live in a more closely knit community, disagreements are bound to happen, like who should be the one using the desk, who should be the one using the toilet, who should be the one using the lights. I'm sure some of you can relate to the work from home stress, right? Especially if you have conference calls and you don't want the other partner to actually make some noise because you're having an important Zoom meeting. So people tend to look for other spaces apart from their own homes, and some of them may be looking to rent flats as well, driving up the rental rates even higher, apart from the foreign workers. Yeah, so that's just some of my thoughts in this property market, right? What are the reasons that are driving this Singapore property boom over the period of 2 years, right? Because we could see the property prices increasing so much in a short span of time. So these are just my thoughts. Of course, I'm not a property agent, neither am I a property professional in the market for many years. So those property experts and gurus, please don't come and flame me. I admit I'm really a beginner in this, but at least I'm just sharing what I think of, right? Of course, if you don't agree or you agree with some of my points, you can write down in the comments below. I really welcome and love to hear your comments from a different perspective. And do look forward to my future property video next week because I will talk about why I think this Singapore property market may not end up the way we think it would be. If you found value from this video, remember to give a like and subscribe to the channel at the bottom. It just takes 1 second of your time. My name is Christopher. This is Honey Money SG, steering young adults to financial independence.